Hello friends, how are we? So I'm starting the vlog today, even though I'm not starting it today. I will see you tomorrow. I'm just doing this now as a commitment to myself to continue tomorrow. Makes no sense whatsoever, I know. Shooting some little clips for TikTok. I've been experimenting with alternatives for snack bars for brew, obviously, for kids. These ones are sweet potato based and they're really nice. I did make them last week and didn't like the outcome completely, so I tweaked them slightly this week. These are like so much better. I feel like this is final product. And I have drizzled a little bit of chocolate on top, which I'm sure somebody on TikTok is gonna kick off about. People seem to be under this impression that just because I raise the fact that baby snacks or things that are marketed as baby snacks contain a lot of sugar, they take that as meaning that like roux has no sugar, which is just not true. Oh, do you want to sit there? We are going to get dressed. Is that funny? We're going to get dressed and go to a little play group this morning, which is the local one, and unfortunately last week is its final week. Next week is the last week that it's running. It's being closed down because I think the venue can't host it anymore or something, I don't know. It's just such a shame to see little local things like that going, because this is the cheapest one we go to. It's like a little free play thing where they set up the hall with loads of different toys in different kind of zones, and I think it's been running for like 30 years. So that's sad, isn't it? And you like going there, and I like taking you there because it tires you out. I do sometimes feel like a bit of a helicopter parent when I'm there though, because I'm not judging at all, I'm just observing the differences. Like some mums and dads of babies similar age to Rue, toddlers, literally get there, set the kids off, and then they just sit on the chairs or on the outside like chatting or on their phone or whatever. I can't do that. I feel like I need to be with her. Not I have to know what she's doing, but you know, she's at an age where she will snatch things from children or push children. Obviously other children do the same to her, like that's just a part of development at that age. And obviously toddlers do a lot of parallel plays, they're not really playing together. She quite likes to like have someone to interact with, so if she's playing in the toy kitchen, for example, she'll bring me a little bowl of something to pretend to eat, or she'll talk to me about the names of things, and I just like to like be there and play with her. But it's not like a common thing to see in this group particularly. And also I guess because I am quite socially awkward, I don't really want to sit around and talk to the other mums. Not I don't want to, that sounds really rude, and I don't mean that at all. I just mean like I would rather be spending my time with Rue than making small talk with people I don't really know. There's no way of saying that doesn't sound rude, but I'm hoping that some of you will know what I mean. I'm just not really good at that kind of thing, and it makes me uncomfortable sometimes. Is that annoying for you? Does mummy not leave you alone? Am I always hovering around you? Should we go and put our clothes on? And do our hair?
Yeah.
No? Okay. I apologise that most of this vlog so far has been from this angle in my kitchen. Very boring for you all. Not that any background in my house is giving particular levels of excitement. It's nap time, which also means breakfast time for me, and I am quite hungry today. I'm having a little protein shake with my breakfast. I started wearing a nose ring again. I mean, I've talked about this before. I feel like I really lost touch with myself, as in my visual image. Not myself as a person, thankfully I didn't have an identity crisis. I definitely lost touch with how I present over the pandemic, the tail end of my teaching career, and then motherhood, and maybe not feeling as comfortable in my own body. I think in a way teaching does bash out a lot of your agency. I mean, I obviously had to take a lot of my piercings out when I became a teacher, because I have my septum pierced as well. Was wearing my nose piercing for the majority of teaching, and when I moved to primary I switched to a nose stud, and then eventually like studs fell out and I just never replaced them, and I just kind of blended into the background of life and didn't really have what I would call much individuality, like the things that used to just make me feel like I had a bit of an edge and just felt a bit different. Those little things that make you push the boat out and just feel good about yourself. And it sounds silly, something as small as a nose ring, just having it back in, I was like, oh, I just feel more myself again. I'm pretty sure other people who have gone through this kind of thing will relate, not just necessarily because of parenthood, because like I said, it was happening before then as well. So yeah, let me finish this horrendous protein and then eat my granola and probably put Love Island on in the background while I do some work. We're awake and we are cranky. Crumpet in a dippy egg. What a combo. Good morning. It's bright and early, I'm awake, I've semi-done my face, and I'm just trying to plan my day because I do find that when I sit down in the morning and like actually make a plan, things go better. What a revelation. See, I've got quite a few different bits I want to film today. I am still using my productivity planner. I go through phases where I will use it religiously every day, and then other times I just use it on really work heavy days. I think it's just because at the moment, obviously I'm doing such a mixture of mumming and working. Some days I feel like it's a waste of like a page to be time blocking. If you're a mum, you will know your day is time blocked for you. Nap time is this time, lunch time is this time. So it kind of just feels like, do I need to write it down? This morning I'm child free and I want to burn through some stuff basically. I've been working on a little project which has been super cute, which is doing up an IKEA play kitchen for Rue. I bought it 8-9 weeks ago now on Facebook Marketplace. I can't remember if I showed it in a vlog when I bought it. I definitely recorded a clip of it when I bought it, but I can't remember if I put it in my last vlog or if I was just saving it for when I do the video on it. I spent a lot of time sort of paralysed in the planning stages. I'm the kind of person who has to have that all mapped out roughly in my head before I start with anything. And I finally finished it. Excuse our laundry. This is where I've been hiding it by our washing machine. And I've literally just had this here the whole time and she hasn't seen it. This is the kitchen. It's pretty much finished. I think it's stunning, not gonna lie to you. I'm a little bit annoyed with myself because I'm just trying to put together the clips of this IKEA play kitchen, and I've deleted the clip, the original clip of like when I first picked up the kitchen, so what it actually looked like, which is so irritating because obviously like for a before and after. Anyway, I'll just have to use like the stock IKEA images. It's fine, I'll live. I am annoyed with myself. I really thought that I'd put it onto my computer and then I've obviously deleted it from my camera. It's not on my computer or on my USB, so. Our next Lovevery play kit has just arrived. Wasn't planned, but perfect timing. I'm just gonna open it with scissors, so you just mind out the way for a second. Let's see what we got. We're off on a little family jaunt to Aldi. Sorry if I look really orange. I fake tanned my face last night and it's giving what's it. But more importantly, why do I need to fake tan my face in the middle of July? This weather is not giving. Off to Aldi to get some little bits. We're doing a lot of supermarket hopping at the moment, as I'm sure a lot of people are. We basically only really go to Aldi for nappies, don't we? And toilet roll and chocolate. They do these like mini chocolate bars, which we have in the evenings. Alex has the 85% dark chocolate. I'm a child, so I have the milk chocolate. I did used to eat dark chocolate, but I just don't want to do it to myself anymore. I don't want to put myself through it. I just want joy in that small moment. So we do most of our food shop at Sainsbury's, and everyone always says like, oh my god, isn't that so expensive, blah blah blah, but it actually really isn't. Like, we've been to Aldi to do the whole food shop, it works out exactly the same. Last week we experimented even further with a trip that Alex probably doesn't want to remember, to Morrison's. It was so depressing, wasn't it? We've got the Sainsbury's shop down to a T now, and it's so easy because obviously we go in there all the time, we know where everything is, we can just do it really quickly. Morrison's was so stressful because A, everything was in just a different place, which is fine, like we can get over that. First thing we were looking for was our salmon, because we have 2 salmon meals a week. They had literally no salmon. I think they had 1 pack left that looked like it had been taken from the sea about 5 years ago. We moved on, got the rest of our shop done. There was loads of things that we like to get that they just didn't have, so that was upsetting. And then it just came out exactly the same price. Actually, it came out a little bit more expensive, didn't it?
Much more.
Because we there was a couple of meals that we just didn't get, things like the salmon that we then had to go to Sainsbury's and get. So yeah, all in all, that wasn't a great experience. The reason we decided to go to Morrison's was because Alex saw something on TikTok, was it?
Yeah, I think it was a little news clip on TikTok.
A news clip on TikTok saying that Morrison's is the only supermarket in the UK that hasn't recorded record profits over this period, because there's a lot in the news about whether the supermarkets are profiteering over this food crisis and the war in Ukraine and all the rest of it. And apparently Morrison's are the only ones whose profits hadn't like noticeably increased. So we thought, okay, let's support Morrow's. It was so stressful and it really was not cheaper, so we will not be repeating that. Anyway, that's the end of my boring supermarkets update for you. I don't know where the day's gone. It's now the end of the day. I am just cooking the weekly spag bowl. Oh, I've just really hurt my nail. I've gone back to dipping powder, so I was using builder gel. Gone back to dipping powder and I have been going to the nail shop to get it done. The only thing with dipping powder, and I guess getting your nails done in general, is just so expensive. Long story short, I've just caught my nail and they need doing. And I've actually decided, in the interest of saving some money, I'm gonna go back to doing them myself. Because I do have dipping powder, I've got all the stuff I need for it. The only thing I didn't have was my electric nail file, kind of gave up the ghost. So I've just bought a new one. This was £20 on Amazon. I got it on the Prime days. I don't know how much more expensive it is normally. And this one's cordless, so it's actually better than my old one. You know when you were little and you'd get like a spy pen toy? That's what it looks like. Or a vibrator of some description. And then it comes with all the bits and bobs here. What the hell is that? It tells you what all the different little drill bits do there. So this little thing is apparently a dust cover. So does that mean that while I'm filing, it will be containing the dust? That's actually quite clever, isn't it? Means none flies up into your face. Cool. I'm gonna get that charged then, because as I said, I literally just pushed my nail into something, and you know when it like bends and the bit that's at the nail bed flicks up? If you've ever had like acrylics or anything, you'll know that that bit of the nail bed comes loose first usually. It's like you'll be doing your hair or whatever and you get some snagged over it. I just pushed it against something in the wrong way and it completely bent my nail and it really hurt. That's the job for potentially this evening, which I really can't be bothered to do, but I have no choice. Because this is currently costing me £43 and it lasts for about 3 weeks. I can just about stretch it out to 4. But when I think about that, I'm like, do I really want to be paying £11 a week for my nails? That's like over £1 a day to have nice nails. I do love having nice nails, but when I break the cost down in that way, I don't think I can justify it right now. The main things I hate about doing my own nails is I'm not that good at nail art. Not that I ever really want any like really ambitious designs. I quite like these ones that I've got at the moment, just like subtle designs that I can't really do myself. And also it does take a long time because you have to remove and prep your nails. If you want your next manicure to last, all of that is really important to do it properly. And then you've got to redo it, and dipping powder is like layers and layers. As you can see, I'm really psyching myself up for this experience. Anyway, that will be the plan tonight, and I'll show you them tomorrow. And if you see me with these nails tomorrow, please mind your own business. Good morning. It's been about a week since I last vlogged, which was not my intention at all. But we actually had quite a wild start to the week because we ended up in A&E and then the children's ward with Rue. I'm desperately trying to refresh / defrizz some of my hair. Yeah, obviously not a pleasant experience going into hospital with your little one. All in all, quite a worrying and long 2 days. Like anything in a hospital is just long. All of the staff was so lovely and so helpful. I'm really not complaining about that. I'm just saying like it is a long day, and quite often you sort of rushed out the house, so you haven't really thought about feeding yourself or any of that, and yeah, you sort of feel like you're stuck in the twilight zone a little bit. So yeah, that was a good few days where I thought I would be vlogging, but obviously I was not vlogging because other things were taking priority. Anyway, I'm back today. I'm just getting ready to take Rue to a little music and dance class that she likes to go to because she is feeling better. I think she'll enjoy just doing something a bit fun because we haven't done anything obviously this week. It's so much easier when Alex is working from home because I can like just steal 5 or 10 minutes here and there to come up and get myself dressed and whatnot. Mostly I just use water with a misting spray bottle. If you have curly hair and you don't have a mist spray bottle, you need to get one. They just distribute obviously a mist of water rather than like a direct jet. I also quite like using this at the moment. This is the L'Oreal Elvive Hyaluronic Moisture Plump Serum. Replumps and reshapes hair, daily hydration booster. Firstly, it smells really nice. I saw a post where somebody who straightens their hair used it when their hair was damp and then blow dried and straightened as normal, and they compared it with when they don't use it, and the results were like so much more shiny looking with this. I figured, like, obviously I don't straighten my hair, but it is still nice to have a little bit of extra moisture going in. Sometimes I put a bit more of my gel on. I don't know if I'm going to do that today. That music class today was absolutely nuts. I mean, it's kind of nuts at the best of times. It's like there's a lot of children, they're all just like rah on the mats, getting the instruments, doing whatever. I don't mind that. Rue quite likes high energy, so that works for us. But today, I guess because it's the summer holidays, there were some older children, like 4 or 5, I would say. So maybe at the start of school age. I don't know, it's just really busy today, like a lot more babies, more children, bigger children. It was mad. She still had a great time. She loved it. She's fast asleep now, which is exactly what I want from life. You love your children so much and you want to spend so much time with them, but my God, do you live for nap time? I thought I'd do a little books catch up. I've been really trying to carve out more time to read in the day, but it's hard, isn't it? I obviously want Rue to see me with books. I mean, she sees Alex. Alex reads quite a lot in the morning. He makes time for it, but I'm not so good at it. So yeah, I'm still mostly reading before bed, but I am trying to carve out a bit of time in the day to read. And I've been on a bit of a non-fiction hype lately. So this is the one that I've just finished. Unmasking Autism by Dr. Devon Price. The power of embracing our hidden neurodiversity. For every visibly autistic person you meet, there are countless masked people who pass as neurotypical. They don't fit in the stereotypical mold of autism and often spend their entire lives trying to hide their autistic traits. In particular, there's evidence that autism remains significantly undiagnosed in women, people of colour, trans and gender non-conforming people. In this book, Dr. Devon Price is looking at masking and is sort of making the argument for you to be your authentic self and how environment obviously contributes quite a lot to that as well. I would totally recommend this book if you are neurodivergent yourself, whether that be autism. Obviously this centres on autism, but ADHD is such a closely related condition that there is a lot of crossover, and even things like anxiety, dyslexia, dyspraxia, all of those things, if you find, you know, those sort of barriers to finding things easy on a day-to-day basis, I think you would find this interesting. Also, if you're around neurodivergent people, which really applies to everybody, like there are so many neurodivergent people out there, just helping you understand a little bit more about it. I think this book does really well is because it's talking about masked autistic people. It's breaking the mold of what people expect from autism. I guess people who haven't been around it much think of like your Sheldon types or your Rain Man situation, and autism just isn't that. Like that is one version of autism, but it is a spectrum. There are so many different ways that it can present. And that's part of why so many people mask and why it's so undiagnosed in girls. Quite often they choose fixations which are socially appropriate, and then it means that people don't necessarily believe them when they say they're autistic because they have one idea of what autism is in their head. Another thing that I thought was really good about this book was it discusses in depth how much environment can have an impact. It uses a really good example actually, that if you were to take a child who was profoundly deaf and you put them into a mainstream school, they are going to come across as severely disabled. They can't access any of the learning without support, and they're going to find day-to-day routines, things like playtime, lunchtime, really challenging. But when you take that child and you put them into a deaf school, a school which is specifically designed where everybody is using sign language and everything is tailored to make your life easier if you're deaf, all of a sudden they're no longer severely disabled. And actually, if you were to take a child who was hearing and didn't know sign language and place them into that deaf school, they would become the one who was significantly disabled. It's this idea that actually disability is so heavily impacted by environment. The environment that you're in can actually dictate how disabled or not disabled you are. And this idea that obviously as everybody's becoming more aware of neurodivergence, we really need for there to be a push for the world to become more accessible for people who are neurodivergent. Because a lot of the things that autistic people would find helpful, i.e. things being really clearly laid out, agendas being stuck to, having some idea of what a space might look like before you step into it, moving away from like fluorescent lighting in schools, all of these things actually would make the world a more accessible place for everybody, whether you are neurodivergent or not. So yeah, really interesting read, highly recommend. Borrowed it from my mum, love it. And another book that I actually got from my mum is Parenting Inside Out. We were just talking about how like it can be hard sometimes. You're obviously working as a team with your partner, but you might have different parenting styles. Maybe Rue will do something, and when Alex and I go to discuss it, he has a completely different take on it than I do, and it's really interesting to see the different like approaches you can take to parenting and the different ways you can see one event. She recommended that I read this, and Alex is going to read it after me actually, because it's all about how your childhood and your self-identity impacts your parenting. So each chapter kind of takes you back to your childhood, makes you reflect on certain things, like there's different journal prompts and stuff, but it just makes you think about how you saw things when you were a child, your perspective as a child, and then how that then might impact how you treat your child in those similar scenarios. I don't know if I'm doing it justice with that explanation, but it is really interesting. And then every chapter also finishes with like a sciencey bit, which you don't have to read, but it just digs a bit deeper onto like the science of the brain and neural pathways and how we build emotions, how we build our sense of self, and how we can impact our child's experience of that as well. It's kind of like a program for parents to go through to have a better understanding of their parenting. I'm nearly halfway through. I've just finished a really interesting chapter which is about communication. I love learning about parenting and just kind of digging a bit deeper, because I do think you have to be intentional as a parent. A lot of it does come naturally when you build your bond with your child, but then there are also other things where sometimes it's good to have the script or like a little mapped out model to show you what might be the healthiest way of dealing with something. Quite different from books I've discussed on here before, but they've been very interesting and I've enjoyed them very much, and I think that some of you will get good use out of them too. There is also one other book I'm reading. Let me go and get it. Forgot about this one. Smart but Scattered. Use your brain's executive skills to keep up, stay calm and get organised at work and home. This book is really good, again, if you're neurodivergent, especially ADHD profile, or if you just feel like your life's a bit scatty. Sometimes your organisation skills or timekeeping or the way you keep your workspace or your house, you just sit back and think, why can't I keep on top of this? This sorts your executive skills, I think, into 12 categories: response inhibition, working memory, emotional control, task initiation, sustained attention, planning and prioritising, organisation, time management, flexibility, metacognition, goal-directed persistence, and stress tolerance. And it does go through definitions of all of them in more detail. If I've just read those out and you thought, that means nothing to me. You start with this questionnaire where you go through a series of statements like, I don't jump to conclusions, I think before I speak, I have a good memory for facts, dates and details, and you score them. So 1 is strongly disagree all the way through to 6, which is strongly agree. Again, it's all written here. And you go through and you see which are your weakest executive skills based on the questionnaire, which are your strongest. And then the remainder of the book is kind of going through how you can utilise the strongest skills to really be most efficient, and then also how you can improve those skills which are weaker, or even just understand them a bit more. For example, I'm feeling a bit vulnerable here, but my weakest skills, one of them is task initiation, and that was no surprise to me whatsoever. I'm a perfectionist to start with, but also if I don't have everything mapped out, I'm not starting. And if the wind is not blowing in the right direction, I'm not starting. If I've got a big project on, my house is spotless, because I'm doing all the procrastinating and I'm not starting the thing I should be starting. And actually this book kind of says that is okay. Try to get the job interwoven. So one of the examples here was like, if you're avoiding a big project, first you need to break it down into steps, and then you need to interweave those steps with other things. So I could say to myself, okay, I'm gonna clean my bathroom, and then I'm gonna settle in and do 10 minutes of this, and then I'm gonna go do something else, and then I'll come back and do this. And even though that sounds very flitty, actually even just doing those 10-minute chunks or whatever really means that you're making progress on the project, more so than just putting it off or going, I'll start tomorrow. And then also, when you do sit down to do something for 10 minutes, often you spend 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes on it instead. That's just one example. Obviously the book does a much better job. I've actually just got to a chapter, it's called Executive Skills and Relationships. It goes through maybe like some of the frustrations you might have in your relationship because this executive function for you is not that strong, but for your partner maybe it's something they really prioritise. Which again, task initiation, if Alex has got something to do, he just gets started, he gets it done, he'll like bash out the first few steps of the task really quickly, and he gets so frustrated that I don't do that. This has actually got another questionnaire to do alongside your partner. So yeah, I am looking forward to doing that. There's a lot of self-improvement going on in my life, isn't there? I think I'm just feeling quite reflective. I'm working my way through this slowly. I'm not really rushing it because there's a lot to sort of think about and implement, and it's a very small steps process. They also have a version of this for children and for teenagers because I believe they started with this process in children first. I might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I read that at the beginning of this book. Alex's brother is staying with us this weekend. Alex is a twin. Don't know if I've ever shared that on here. It's kind of like a running joke because Scott mostly comes to stay at a weekend if he's visiting. And so every time he comes, it's spag bol night. Today I thought I'd push the boat out and do a lasagna instead. And I've just put it in the oven. And I turned to Alex and I said, oh, did you pop to the shop and get a treat for tonight? And he was like, no. Don't get me wrong, it's not that I'm a slave driver and I expect him to go to the shop. It's Friday. It's sacrilege to consider that I'm going to sit, eat a lasagna and salad and then not have anything afterwards. Or not have a little drinky poo to have with it. Long story short, I've driven to Sainsbury's just to pick up some chocolate, some red wine and or a little beer. And some butter, because we've run out. So, you know, the butter can be the real reason that I'm here. But actually we all know it's the treats. I got a package from Only Curls, which is very exciting. That's very cute, isn't it? Love their branding. I've already been through this, which is why that's not on the box, but I'll show you. They sent me this lovely tote bag with a message I very much sympathise with. I've actually got one of these from Amazon and it's just like a plastic one. This one is silicone and it feels so nice. So I'm definitely swapping out my existing one for that. And then they've also sent me a new bonnet, which I'm super happy about. This is incredibly soft and it's elasticated and it's got a bit more room than my other elasticated ones. So I'm looking forward to using that. This gorgeous wide tooth comb, I mean, that's like Barbie dreams, isn't it? A microfiber towel, a deep hydration mask, shea butter, coconut and prickly pear oil. I love the smell of their products. They always smell incredible. Mega hold curl gel, volumizing curl mousse. This is a little mini set. All curl cleanser, all curl conditioner, hydrating curl cream, enhancing curl gel. These absolutely adorable clips, which I will 100% be using in Rue's hair. And this was the reason that they sent me the care package in the first place. It was for me to try the Little Curls range. They brought out a children's range. There are only really a few brands that sort of cater to it. So I'm very much looking forward to using these in Rue's hair. Magic detangling spray, super shampoo, detangling conditioner, leave-in styler. And I will of course report back because I know lots of you have little curly children as well. Also, just from a businessy perspective, this is such good exit marketing. Like, it's a whole little leaflet. It's got like my receipt in there, so the order summary, but it also gives you other products that they think you'll love based on what you've bought, and obviously their story, and it just feels really personal. I love that. So I'm probably going to sign off the vlog here. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Hope you're all having a lovely summer, even though it doesn't feel like summer in the UK. And I will hopefully be back very soon with more. Take care and I will see you next time. Bye.